Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2 of compLexity versus NoT today, set to get underway. compLexity looking pretty strong in game number 1. They do force out a win. Smashes Ember Spirit. Got smashed that go around. A lot of respect for that player-hero combo as compLexity put a lot of pressure on him. I'm Zyori, joined again by Blaze. Blaze, buddy, how you feeling coming into game 2?
Feeling pretty good overall of compLexity's chances. I don't know if they're going to take a 2-0, but they definitely showed a lot in that first draft. Just overall having a good way of responding to certain situations, certain heroes, their level of control that they brought to the table with the silences and things of that nature really put Smash in a difficult spot. And they know that if they shut down Smash and Van isn't playing like one of those snowball cores, he was playing Clockwork that game, so not really fitting the bill, then you can, generally speaking, control NoT today. So super stand-in 4, I'm guessing that's the same as the previous one, but no matter the case, it's going to be a different player on the side of compLexity. It's actually going to be Deadpool filling in, and that means that we are going to be seeing Z-Freak stepping out.
Interesting. Deadpool. Now, that is a name I recognize from X-Men. I've been watching a lot of comic book men recently. That player, I feel like I've seen him stand in once or twice, but I can't quite place what team he's played for. Or is that like an NEL player, NA Dota kind of guy?
Presumably. I did the research for the former rosters, or the rosters they've been running and rotating around through, and although compLexity have been playing Ring Around the Rosie a little bit with one of their supports always, it's usually been the slot that Big Bad Bird fills. So having Deadpool in here, he's not one of the players they played with in the past dozen games, and I am not too familiar with his playstyle.
Okay. So looking at these picks, more fairly straightforward hero selection. Still that Earthshaker ban, though, from compLexity. Swindle, I guess, really not digging on the Earthshaker these days. He'll pick up Axe Damsel with his first 2. We've seen this harmonious duo many a time, especially in the first picking couplet. They kind of counteract each other, but when put together, you get a lot of minus armor, all that physical. It's good stuff. Venge, very safe opener for NoT today as they ban out a couple of jungling pushers, the Chen and the Enigma.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable considering what they were opened against before. They respect ban out the Chen. They're taking out the Enigma now, as there's just a lot of versatility in what compLexity can do, especially when they get that farm advantage early. But I don't know, I think the Earthshaker ban is worthwhile. I think that he is a very high tier support. I still think Lion might be a little bit better in most situations, but there are those clutch situations where Earthshaker can just completely change how a fight plays out. The Fisher placement, obviously the Echo Slam, those are key aspects of what this hero contributes, and it's a force to be reckoned with. It definitely makes the Earthquake, but interesting combo here. The Venge, Ancient Apparition.
I liked he makes the Earthquake. That's good.
He's good for it.
Just chuckling at your little jab there. Ancient Apparition. Again, we see a double support opener, though, Blaze. This is, like you mentioned, a bit atypical.
Yeah, I'm not feeling too great about it, but it is very good to react to the Dazzle when you can rely on good farm in the Ancient Apparition. Like, essentially in this position, I would say Dazzle's Grave more often than not counters a non-agged Ice Blast. Like, the fact that you can take off the last 5 seconds of that potential shatter is really nice. Obviously, it still negates the Dazzle heal, which is a very important aspect. But when you get the Aghanim Scepter in A, that's when he really starts making Dazzle's life miserable. Like, nobody actually gets saved by Grave under those circumstances. And opening up with the Axe Dazzle, you usually want to go for a Grave-dependent lineup. You say, okay, get like a really squishy carry that gets nuked down hard. Go for a Phantom Assassin or somebody who can really stay in the thick of things and just give her Grave. Because if you first ban Axe or your first pick Axe, that's not going to get dunked out.
Are we ever going to see Huskar picked in competitive Blaze?
Only in, like, you can see him picked.
Only in your dreams.
You can see him picked in a matchup where the team that picks him expected to lose the match anyways and wants to throw a curveball. Wants to say, okay, well, we need something crazy. We need a Divine Rapier Rush. We need a Huskar.
I like
we
that.
We need an Alchemist 1, 2, 3 position. Like, if you expect to, if you're like tier 3 CAS team versus Team Secret, if you're tier 3 NA team versus EG, that's where you break out the mad picks, the new meta,
card.
and the Huskar.
Okay. Axe, Huskar, Dazzle, dude. I like it. All right, well, Troll third ban by NoT today. These teams keeping it a little more simple. Now Medusa, their 4th ban. compLexity will take a 3rd ban on the Bat Rider, and thinking about their 4th here. All pretty irritating heroes. The Medusa, not really out of left field. You don't see her banned too often, but certainly can be a difficult carry to deal with.
I've been preaching Axe Dusa since MLG Columbus. Like, I love that combo.
I gotta back this up. It's true. You've been talking about it for a while. You make him look at her. That's the whole thing. Axe says, "Look at me," and behind him, there's this snake lady, and you don't want to look at her, Blaze.
Yeah, ever since the new Stone Gaze, I've just been like, okay, get taunts, get a Batrider, and go. And it took a while. She got that big mana shield buff, which is very, very helpful to actually bringing her to a stable mid to late game. But overall, I just think that ulti is really cool, and Swimmelins plays a pretty beastly Medusa mid, so I definitely expected that they researched their team, or their opponent rather, and they probably said, okay, if there's that much initiation, that'll set up Stone Gaze. If there's one hero that doesn't care at all about Ice Blast, it's probably Medusa.
Does she not care about Ice Blast? I mean, not that much, but it does give you a little bit of a buffer.
Her health pool doesn't go down. It's her mana pool that really matters.
I guess that's true. If she's ever at the threshold to shatter, she is definitely dead anyway. There's not really a time when it's like, oh, good thing the shatter was there because she was going to get away with no mana and 10% HP. That almost never happens.
Yeah, she's probably the least heal-dependent carry, and she just has so much for her going for her with her mana shield that AA is a blessing to go up against rather than like a Nyx Assassin or something.
All right, well, now we see the pushers for complexity, more physical damage. Mr. Lycan, the big bad wolf, joining the party.
5 seconds remaining.
Good pick here so far. I guess Venge can swap him around, but Ancient Apparition, one of those supports that'll just kind of be food for the Lycan. Here's a fun pick to try to keep the dog down. Necrophos for Not Today.
I gotta disagree with the intention there. I mean, Necrophos is a great hero in general. Like, he has probably the best ultimate in the game. But you're picking him into a Dazzle, who likes to just completely stop the main thing of the spell, which is give Necrophos Sadist stacks and put somebody out of the game for 30 seconds extra. He can just grave that, no problem at all, and that will completely take it out. And it's just, like, in this situation, you don't have damage yet. Like, you have Executioner-style finishers with the Ice Blast Shatter, with the Reaper Scythe, but you need that front-loaded damage, and you have 2 cores to bring it. I just really am not too confident. If complexity just play it smart and build defensively, I guess support Queen of Pain might be on the table again, I'm not sure, but if they could just like build up like Crimson Guard mechanism type stuff, even against AA in this case, like they can just keep their health pools high enough that half the fights at least, Necrophos won't be able to get an ulti kill.
Yeah. I don't know. I also think Necrophos is a tough hero against Lycan so far in this draft. Maybe they'll pick a few things that make it come together. If you can get the Lycan low, it's great, but so far I don't see where the damage is going to be to get that Scythe going. And Lycan can really do a lot of damage to Necro, and Blaze. I don't want to be a negative Nancy here, but...
So think about this. You go for a 3-point Astral Imprisonment build here. So you get 3 seconds on your Astral Imprisonment. Combine that with however many ranks you feel like of Cold Feet, and you've got a guaranteed Cold Feet on anybody but the Queen of Pain, and probably the Queen of Pain, for that matter. So, I don't know, if you can get some good Cold Feet stuns out with that 3-second Astral, you can get the damage you need, and you can kind of just rail on somebody. Say, this person doesn't get to farm, doesn't get to participate, doesn't get to play the game, and they get to stay at like level 6 or below for, I don't know, the first 20 minutes. If you can really put a lot of emphasis on chaining up your abilities perfectly, I could still see the potential, but man, oh man, do they have to do some wonders in the laning stage.
Yeah, I think you're reaching a little bit, but it is true. You could do it. Yeah, you got it. This draft, I mean, they are lacking on control. And Lycan, that's a dog that needs to be controlled. He's an alpha. You got to slap him down or else he's just going to run all over you. He's going to chew up your nice shoes, bite you in the ass. He can run down all of these heroes. Once you get rid of your Reaper Scythe, if you use that Astral on anyone except him, he's just going to be chasing you down. Without the Astral, Cold Feet is borderline useless against the Lycan in ult form because he's so damn fast.
I like the Spirit Breaker ban. Like, I'm not exactly sure where they pinpointed that's going to be our issue, but they don't really have stuns to break the charge, and it could be the initiator that they were looking for. It's definitely not something like I'm like, oh, that's obviously the hero they were going to pick, but it's like, that actually would cause you some issues there. So, I don't know. It's definitely interesting, but...
Well, we see some teams over in the CIS area first picking Spirit Breaker. Empire's been playing a hell of a lot of SB just straight out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
throw their cards down and say deal with it.
Good Space Scout too. That's been some solid picks and solid play from them for the most part. I like the Tusk plays. I like the Spirit Breaker plays. I like to see that action. But I think that one of the ideal picks for complexity here would be an old school inactive hero, the Shadow Demon. If they wanted to go Queen of Pain mid and go Lycan safe lane and Axe off lane, then they could pick up another support. And as Shadow Demon, Dazzle Lycan, I've run this tri-lane so many times, especially when it was meta relevant.
Yeah.
And you don't live.
It's gross. Yeah, you set it up, you get the heal bomb, you get the howl, wolves there to body block and do extra damage. I would love that last pick. Reminds me of the Shadow Demon Dazzle Centaur aggro tri-lane. That was one of my favorite aggro tries when Centaur was relevant. It's just so gross. You hit him with a soul catcher, you double edge him, he's basically dead. Then you heal bomb, you save your Centaur from his own double edge, do big damage in return. It's just one of those beautifully synergistic trios.
Yeah, I like the idea because obviously the Wombo combo is real, but they're just going to go with the Razor here. This Queen of Pain is going to play a semi-supportive role, or the Axe is going to start jungle. I think it might be the same thing that we saw last time where TLK picks up the Axe, has a hero that can offlane or can jungle. He'll start in the offlane, but if they see that the jungle is open, not warded up, which is hard to do on the Radiant side anyways, then he'll probably rotate and the Queen of Pain will try to take a 1v1.
Okay, I think you're right. And, I thought that the last game was more of a Z-Freak specific. It's like a Z-Freak special. He does tend to be
you're right.
a player
that's not going to be practiced on either of those, Big Bad Bird or Deadpool.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So last game, it felt like it fit Z-Freak's style. He's always been, and Hani was a jungle player. He spent a lot of time working that aspect of the map. So we'll see how it works here. Speaking of the devil, though, Big Brad picked up by the Dire side for their final choice. So they will get themselves some stuns, but still not a lot of control on this team, and not a hero that can really square up against the Lycan.
Still, I mean, you get some chomp and stomp. You're able to really bite them with the cold feet, and then you'll be able to follow through with whatever spell set you want. I think that the double edge is really the skill they needed in this game. Like, the Stampede won't be bad, because you'll be able to outrun the Lycan, or not outright. Okay.
Was that... Are we having a
okay, so somebody stole his slot. Z-Freak is still playing this Queen of Pain, but somebody jumped into the lobby and stole Z-Freak's slot.
That is... Okay, so I guess we're having a remake here.
Thanks, Yahard.
I don't see anything on the... Are we safe to disconnect here? I don't see anything official.
No, yeah, we're remaking. I mean, there's no way that we're not, so...
That's a good call, Blaze. All right, well, I think the admins were sleeping. So, okay, everyone's DC'd now. There we go. There's our new lobby. So we'll get this up here in just a moment. Until then, you get to look at my my pretty face. So, Blaze, man, how you been doing outside of Dota? We get a moment here to chat about real life. How's the baby Blaze? The Blaze baby.
Yeah, Baby Blaze has been awesome. A little bit of a cold, kind of caught wind for a little bit there. The past 2 weeks has actually been really bad for illness in my house. Like, my wife substitute teaches, so that's like a germ factory she visits, and if we're not very careful, somebody's going to catch something. So it started with her, and then it got to both myself and the baby, and that was just a trying time for sure. He wasn't having a good time, I wasn't having a good time, but we're getting past it, and pretty much all cleared up. Just a minor throat issue for me and some sniffles for him, and overall I think we're all the better for it. He's learning to deal with those harsher climates, and
that's great.
I don't know. I have no idea what kind of experience he gets out of it, but I'm glad to know that I've managed the situation well enough.
Oh yeah, well that's fun. Wow. So you see any good movies recently? Did you see The Imitation Game?
The Imitation Game. No,
Alan
I have
Turing
not.
movie. You know who Alan Turing is, right? You strike me as the type that would know all about computer science types from the World War II era.
From the World War II, I suppose that's accurate. Yeah. But no, I definitely know Alan Turing. I don't know about his movie though.
Oh, the movie's really good. It's that guy that played Sherlock, the Cumberbatch dude. Oh, he's great. It's amazing. It's good stuff. So we do have this lobby ready, folks. 10 out of 10. Just waiting on the thumbs up, green light from both teams. Make sure everyone's here. All of the casters have figured out that no one's playing in that game. Looks like they're mostly in the lobby. This is a weird time zone for a lot of the world. I started to watch... Have you seen that movie Nightcrawler? It's weird. I fell asleep watching it last night. It's the new Jake Gyllenhaal movie. It came out at the end of last year. He plays this guy that doesn't really have a job, and he figures out that he can rush to accidents and get footage of the people bleeding, then sell it to the local news stations. It's very dark. I don't know.
Oh.
What a sad way to make a living. Because it's like, there's first responders on the scene.
Yeah.
They're all yelling at him. He's there with a camera just like trying to film everything he can. It's oddly cold and disturbing.
It's like Spider-Man take away 2 minutes there. Like, Spider-Man's there before the action, makes the action happen, sells it to the papers, and this guy's like, I'll get involved how I can. That's a little odd there.
Yeah. Well, looks like we're loading in here. Let's take a look at our in-game. Apparently, our overlays on Starladder do not reflect the proper roster. Let me pull it up. Swindle mentioned it to me. Let me just pull up the picking screen here. Looks like they're going to pick pretty damn fast. Oh, here we go. As I get the overlay up. compLexity. Danny, Zizzy, Squee, Z. Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
I don't know who the hell where this roster came from, but it's not even close. Yeah. Not even close. Swindle and Z-Freak, the only two.
Yeah, Squee's been standing out a decent amount for them, but he's also been playing for Root. So, no, overall, this is a bit of a grab bag.
Okay, so we got Z-Freak in here. That's good. We'll see the Z-Freak special again. Glad I mentioned that because now everything is making sense. We'll see the same kind of a strategy once more. It seemed like such a niche strategy just to try it with some new stand-in. It seemed oddly specific. All right, we're going to need you to practice position 4 co-op. You support, then you get to that off lane at least level 6. And what you're going to do. Can you imagine saying that to a new recruit? I think that's about the time I'd be like, all right, well, see you guys later.
Sure enough, yeah, that's a tough one, but yeah, it kind of worked in the last game. Like, obviously, the big thing Queen Ping contributes is her just quick damage output early on. One Scream, one Sonic Wave, that'll do it for you, and beyond that, her early game with the fact she went 2 points in Shadow Strike and had the Blink, like, that's certainly substantial. So, I can see the value of it. I don't know if it's going to become a thing for a bunch of teams, but I could see compLexity running this kind of a lineup much more frequently, and we will see TLK start in the offlane. We'll see where he makes his move. One Stout Shield means he can jungle or he can lane, and that means Z-Freak, starting with the same item set, will be able to have some flexibility.
Yeah, a little interesting here from TLK, not getting that Ring of Protection, instead going more regen focused. But we'll see how this works out for him. Does have a ward to try and put down the other lanes for compLexity. Z-Freak on his Queen of Pain, the big bad bird. He's on the Shadow Priest Dazzle, a good choice. Zizzy, he'll be here on the Lycanthrope, probably for the safe lane, and then Swindle Melons, their mid laner, will take Mr. Lightning Revenant, the Razor himself, a throwback. Don't see him so much these days, but still packs quite the punch.
Yeah, so we'll see really what he brings. I like the overall physical damage output idea here. I mean, essentially, your axe obviously is purely physical, or in the place of Culling Blade, it's kind of like a pure... It's just based on HP, so you can get the instant gib with that pretty nicely. The physical damage from the Lycan, from the Razor, and obviously amplified by the Dazzle. What we're talking about is just making it so that, although there's no incentive for NoT today to really go for magic immunity or magic resistance, you're still going to be talking about a lot of damage for heroes that don't have that much armor, and for the most part, none of them are starting strong. I mean, everybody has, I guess the ODA is pretty good at 5 base armor. Everybody else is 3 or below, and Necro is opening with a ring for +3.
Okay. Interesting. Necro, we've seen that double Ring of Protection build come out of Necro a few times. I think that's like the Envy classic.
Yeah.
Not going to see it here today. Ever since it was buffed up, it becomes that value piece. So, Dire side, how do they lane this? Smash in the mid on the OD. Their stand-in, number 4. I like that. He's here on the Ancient Apparition, I guess, playing the Forest Slarky. We'll just start off in the jungle right away on this Centaur. This is a bit strange. Level 5, grabs the double edge, goes for this easy Satyr camp, I guess, realizing he won't get much out of this bottom lane with 2 supports. Moves into the jungle already, but with boots first, this will not be an easy quest. You see him struggling here to kill even the little Satyrs, the little ones, Blaze.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, without the return, he just really does, and the Stout Shield, that just really limits his potential. And for the most part, he's just going to look at stacking and finding that Stout Shield early. Like, he probably gets Stout Shield and some regen with his first use of the Courier. Brings everything down very low with the first double edge, and yeah, it's actually going to ring protection. So it looks like he will make his way back to the offlane as soon as he finishes the Tranquil Boots, and he's just jungling until that point. So it's not going to be Stout Shield. He's not dedicating to the jungle. He is going to go for Tranquils, and then he will be bottom. But the reason he started in the jungle instead of starting bottom is because his wards failed so heavily. He got dewarded on the pull camp. It's completely open to Z-Freak and Big Bad Bird. They're pulling like crazy. The Creequilibrium won't move past this spot.
This is pretty impressive from Slarky, I have to admit. Abusing the double edge like this, if you can not get hit by an ogre at all, it's a pretty good strategy. But I'm watching this, just assuming he's eventually going to slip up here and they might be able to grab him. But knowing his limitations very well, abusing that little bit of range that's on the double edge, it's a little bit bigger than melee.
Yeah, and he's always doing it on the retreat, too. The cool thing about the medium camp here is they only have, like, a 3-second leash time. They go back very, very quickly. It's why you pull them at 55 to stack. And, yeah, essentially, he knows that he's going to always be able to double edge on the retreat and have no risk to himself. So that's going to get him his clean tranquil boots, and here at 215, not bad at all.
Yeah, very nicely done. I thought that'd be a little more difficult for him. I guess the boots coming in handy after all. Now in the top lane, TLK in some trouble. The Frost Fingers buffing everybody up. He tries to salve out of it, and it gets knocked off. It's really unfortunate. Oh, did Centaur, was that on purpose?
Yeah, so it was completely intentional.
Okay.
He had no HP left, so he might as well just do that. And he's actually had enough for the TP scroll, so he'll be at bottom lane here at 245, and he'll have the Tranquil Boots on top.
With Tranks and halfway through level 2.
Okay, so he's actually not going for the TP down because he wants to save that TP in case the gank happens, because there is no stun on the side of complexity. There's no way that TP gets interrupted, so it's pretty much a get out of jail free card no matter the case.
I like this play from the Centaur. Very cheeky, but opens up some options for him, makes things a little more efficient. At least he gets level 2, so now he's got that hoof stomp as well. A little extra utility for himself. Looks like complexity will abandon their offlane also. TLK, escaping death so narrowly before, decides, you know what, I'm going to have my go at the jungle, looking for Tranquil Boots himself, and may actually be a little bit behind that of the Centaur. Yeah, he sure is. Centaur's got a couple hundred gold up on him after his jungling experience. There is catching up to do.
Some kind of reversal there. One starts in the jungle, one makes his way there, but we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about this mid lane too much, and it's actually pretty favorable for the Razor here. Smash, he's doing what he can. He gets the treads out pretty early, but Razor is generally that tried and true counter against OD, and with the 0-2-2 build, it makes it difficult for Smash to really use his imprisonment the way he wants to. And instead, it's going to be Swindle just sapping a lot of damage every single time, and although the CS is even now, it's going to go more and more in favor of Swindle Mullins.
Yeah, absolutely. OD infamous for being an amazing 1v1 hero, especially against those classic int-type mids. And even also having the Howl makes this a lot easier for the Razor. Not as much of a counter as he was, now that Static Link's been nerfed a series of times, but still very effective against
I didn't think about this, but a roaming Quap can gank out of vision range. Like, you can be in Smoke of Deceit, or you could just be in Fog of War, and they won't see you until you blink right on top of them. She's got a DD rune, Shadow Strike. You can only imprison one. If he uses the imprisonment and it's on cooldown, I think Quap goes.
There they go. They're going to go. Anyway, double damage is on. Dagger comes out. They'll start poking at Smash. He throws out the imprisonment onto Quap. Mystico TP's in, and that'll be the end of it. A bit anticlimactic. We'll go into the bottom lane as Zizzy and Slarky doing some ring around the rosy in the trees. Double edge. He'll be all right, I think. Howl comes through, but he's got a stout shield, and he'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, the Wolf crit not gonna come into play here, so he's gonna survive. He's gonna be all right, but there's gonna be a nice little flank coming in from the Queen of Pain this time, and I think there actually is some good kill potential. There is no Howl for the Queen of Pain.
Swindle Melons, they're gonna stagger stuns like you were talking about, Blaze. Astral into Cold Feet, sets up the first blood as Swindle goes down and gives some bonus gold to the Ancient Apparition. Nice setup.
Yeah, we're gonna see Van down bottom. He's kind of pincered in right now. They're gonna go past the tower, but Van backing off, and Z-Freak will be able to put the Tranquils on cooldown, but they're committing the ultimate to finish him off. TP away, he'll survive, and Lycan just kind of right-clicks the tower with his shapeshift usage.
All right, nicely done. As you pointed out, Centaur, recognizing the lack of interrupts, makes it home safe, and Zizzy will be able to cut the wave. They'll do a little damage to this tower, perhaps. Nope, never mind, they won't, as Dazzle's done the double pull-through. So pulls the lane back, but in this case, ruins an opportunity to maybe get some damage on that tower.
Yeah, and we're going to look at skill builds here on the Ancient Apparition and the OD, and we see what is almost never picked up by the OD here is a 2-0-1 build coming out from him. So good, making sure the Cold Feet does as much as it can, and I believe that OD is, oh, never mind, he hit 7 and immediately maxes out the Imprisonment, but I think for that combo, you could actually benefit from leaving it at rank 3, because 4 seconds, 4-second duration, 4-second invulnerability, you're actually not going to be able to chain the Cold Feet and Ancient Astral Imprisonment anymore.
Oh, no. You're right. Well, it's exactly 4 seconds on the Cold Feet. Yeah, you're never going to be able to do it right. The Cold Feet will always go first. That's That's really unfortunate. They used it for the first blood. I thought this combo was a match made in heaven. It makes a lot of sense, and just like that, it's a thing of the past.
Yeah, I really think that's a mistake coming in from Smash, and either they didn't brief him or they have other plans, but...
They didn't brief him. Smash, you missed the memo. You're supposed to hold level 3 Astral Imprisonment. Oh, man. Gotta start reading the post-its.
He's worried about this taunt now. He has the TP, he has to completely juke TLK, and it will be enough to keep him up. Oh!
That was pretty damn close. Mystico's here, Frosty's with him. They go on the big bad bird. No shallow grave, not enough mana anyhow. TLK comes in, Berserker's call, a lot of creeps nearby. Mystico in more than a bit of trouble. He falls as Zizzy brings him down with the wolves. And this gank attempt from NoT Today backfires, feeds away their Venge, and they don't even get the kill on the core.
Now is the time to start pressuring towers. They know that Necrophos wants to stretch this game out. Ifrit's looking for 3 or 4 major items since he did go for the Hand of Midas, and obviously compLexity have the ability to end this game pretty quickly with their lineup. Like, we could talk like a 20 to 25 minute game if they play it perfectly. But we're going to see Ancient Apparition take a spill as he gets dove by the wolves. The shapeshift once again, this time netting a kill.
That's really unfortunate. I misspoke before. It was NoT Today that were... Well, the Centaur was on the defensive. They rotate the supports in to try and defend him, and then both supports end up dying from that rotation where the core stays alive, and he had just TP'd out anyway. Sort of an awkward set of movements from NoT, and all of a sudden Lycan goes from farming pretty well to having some extra kills to his name, and now really in great shape.
So we're just going to see here, Big Bad Bird will heal up. Probably going to go for Shallow Grave at 7, I believe. But anyways, it's going to be actually a nice OD Imprisonment into the Hook Stomp coming in from the War Runner.
Yep, out comes the Chilling Touch, and Ultimate gets dropped from Smash, and no chance for Swindle to survive. Double edge on Big Bad Bird. Still no Shallow Grave, a very aggressive build from this Dazzle.
You play a lot of Dazzle, so I was wondering about that. Why would you go for the second point in Poison Touch over 1 point in Grave?
That is a really good question. The really popular Dazzle build these days is like 1-4-4, where you just get that first point in Poison Touch. It's a great initiator for your friends to close the gap. Then you rely on stuns like your Magic Missile or something else to actually do the full duration disable. Really not often you'll see any real prioritization in the Poison Touch unless it's some kind of a core Dazzle or he gets a First Blood or some other very rare type occurrence. So it's just extra damage. I mean, that's all it is. Level 2 Poison Touch is really not particularly good. It's 1 and 4 the big value points.
Definitely.
So I'm at a loss here as well, Blaze.
I mean, you get a slightly shorter cooldown, which is always nice, quality of life, I guess. But
you pay with that extra mana cost, so it's not really a super freebie with that extra point either.
The last, the third second of the spell gets you an extra third of slowing effect, but that means nothing against Stampede. Actually, down bottom.
They get the tower, but Magic Missile onto the bird. They'll drop the Reaper's Scythe. Dazzle out of the game for 50 seconds. It'll cost him a Venge, 1 for 1, but now can Necrophos make it out? His regen will expire. TLK wants to close the gap. Can he get the call? He misses it. And I think that'll be enough for the Necro to ensure his survival. It certainly will. Close call, but TLK falls short.
Really hard to go for the body blocks with Lycan. You have a reduced collision size when you're in the shapeshift. Your body looks big just as a model, but no Ice Blast. But yeah, your body looks really big, but you actually have a really small collision size, and you can't body block for anything. So although he wants to set up the axe for the call, just narrowly avoids it. The Necrophos will survive, will get his kill, the first kill of the game, and Dazzle's still respawning.
Yeah, that is the one great thing about this Reaper's Scythe is you can just take somebody out, especially early on, stopping that Dazzle from getting any extra XP. Now, speaking of the Necrophos, he did go for a Hand of Midas first item. So he will try to get some turbo farm going here. Maybe thinking about an Aghanim Scepter coming out around the corner. Kind of curious to see what build he'll go for. Don't get to see Necrophos that often anymore, and I feel like there's a lot of different takes you can go with on the hero. You could rush a mech. I've seen Atos first item, even a fast Aghanims. Bloodstone first can even be an option.
Sure.
What are you thinking here, Blaze? What makes sense after this Midas?
I think it has to be a Blink Dagger to really push the advantage that this team has right now. If you get the Blink Dagger on the Centaur, you set up with an Ice Blast. Essentially, you have the Ice Blast en route for a projected amount of time across the map. Then the Centaur sees the opening to go for the Blink Close Stomp, and the Necrophos can get in position quick with that Blink Reaper Scythe. So you guarantee a kill, especially when the Shallow Grave is unavailable, and you're able to get a couple of really good Scythe kills off of that.
Okay, I like that. You've seen the Blink Dagger Necro can be very potent. Bit difficult to deal with. In the mid lane, Swindle struggling a little bit against OD. 31 last hits on him, now 49 on the Outworld Devourer. It looks like that gank they had earlier gave Smash the edge that he needed to really take control of this mid lane. Smash will go for the mech, and he's just about there, 200 gold away from the recipe. And Swindle, Keela has enough to finish off his power treads, but no progression towards any real items yet.
So do you think there's still some good value with this Cold Feet now that the OD has maxed out his imprisonment? I mean, you do have the Magic Missile stun, you have the Hoof Stomp, and not the way you want to use it, but you do have a decent stun duration with the Reaper Scythe.
It is possible. I feel like there's two great ways to use the Cold Feet. You either have a really long disable, like your level 3 Astral Imprisonment, or you look for a lot of slows to go on top of these stuns. So if they stagger a Hoof Stomp into a Magic Missile, sure, you're getting a Cold Feet proc there, but just one by itself, I think there's still a chance, a pretty good chance you can walk away and not get stunned by it if you're not slowed by anything else. And they are lacking on any sort of slow, not even an Oob out on this team.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is if you've already got the Magic Missile and the Hoof Stomp on somebody, that guy's dead anyways. Double-edged, whatever. Like, he's toast unless the Dazzle does something cool to save him. So, yeah, I'm really, like, I'm okay with the OD maxing his imprisonment in the sense that, like, obviously it's still a really good skill to have maxed out on an OD. He loves to steal that intelligence. Taking somebody off of 4 seconds, great. But it doesn't synergize with the fact that the Ancient Apparition is now maxing his Cold Feet. Like, he's level 6 with 3 points, probably be level 7 with 4, and I just don't think he's going to get the value he wants out of that.
Yeah, I would agree. Not today, now grouped up in the top lane. They'll claim this tier 1 tower for themselves. The bottom tier 1 went down a while ago, but now in the mid, compLexity pressuring this tower. They'll be forced to take a fight here. Lycan goes into ultimate form. Now Smash puts him inside of an Astral. Stampede's used. They'll jump on the Dazzle in the mid lane. He's nowhere to be found. The hammer gets dropped, but Zizzy survives. TLK with a huge taunt. Brings down the OD. Now can he live? He will not. Reaper's Scythe is there. It's just Swindle by himself, but he's stolen a lot of damage. Now stunned up. The heal from Dazzle with a grave. They could maybe turn this, but he's already used it on himself. Now the swap. It's a huge fight for NoT today. compLexity had a chance there to do the big damage, but unfortunately the Dazzle wasn't in the right place at the right time, and it's over 2K net worth in favor of NoT today.
Yeah, just, I mean, he obviously took a lot of damage, dropped down to 300 HP when he used the Shallow Grave on himself, but yeah, he was able to disengage from the fight. His allies were not, and they really needed that turnaround. I mean, there's so much potential with the Razor getting that full static link off, but it just didn't work out the way they wanted it to, and we can see that there obviously is a lot of value to the 4-second setup just to get your allies across the map where you want them.
Yep. Okay, compLexity, they need to rebound off this. Looking at the goal graph, they're behind by about 1,000 net worth now. It's a big swing, but they did have a sizable lead. So puts NoT today back on top, and they still have a ways to go before they can close this one out themselves. They've only taken one tier 1 tower, have not really done much in the way of objectives yet, and this is a team that really does not push well. And in fact, I would say they push notably poorly. OD, he scales well when you have that Arcane Aura, but that doesn't do anything to structures. And I guess they've got Death Pulse to push creeps, heal up your wave. But yeah, taking objectives will not come easy to this dire side unless they can take good team fights beforehand.
Yeah. The cool thing about Necrophos in a push concept is that they're almost always able to push an objective 5v4 because they have the Reaper Sight, they have that kill death timer advantage. Generally speaking, if they're looking for a hard push, like a tier 2 or a high ground, there's always going to be somebody stuck in the grave, and that's a really nice benefit to having the Necrophos, but that's not coming into play just yet. They're trading tier 1 for tier 2 as Lycan tries to make his play, and the Fortification lays them in mid.
Yeah, Z-Freak going for the deny. He finds it, nicely timed by the Queen of Pain, and this trade for NoT today not feeling nearly as nice as it seemed at first. Swindle also split pushing the top lane, get some good damage into this tier 1 tower. The Glyph was forced out from their split pushing antics, and if they don't head towards the top, Swindle will find a tower kill. There we go. TP reaction, 2 of them on their way in. And even that, 3 TPs. Wow, compLexity should be happy with themselves. They lose a mid tier 1 tower, but a lot of TP gold. And NoT today don't get too much out of it.
Seeing those TPs top, Lycan can be freer to push bottom, especially since he does have the shapeshift up. The tier 1 mid and top have both taken significant structural damage, so those are going down pretty soon. And you see that Ifrit is kind of in farm mode right now. Like, he's going to go for this Bloodstone. That doesn't really change what the hero can do at this stage. It's just, it is really nice. He's going to be respawning a lot faster than his enemies, and overall he's going to have more tank and more mana to spam out that Death Pulse. But it's not forcing complexity's hands right now. They can go and farm the map. They can look to ward up Roche nicely, and not today. They are obviously aren't going to take that for themselves. They have to invade it. So in this position, complexity, they have more options. I guess is the best way to put it.
Z-Freak lucks out a little bit. He blinks in for the rune. It's an invis. And Centaur jumped on him, hit him with a double edge. If that wasn't an invis with his blink down, that could have taken a turn for the worse there. Whew.
Yeah, haste and invis, I guess, is the only two that get him out of that spot. And
yeah,
it's tough, but we're going to see a good pressure on mid. This tower should be completely dead. But they'll do some damage to bottom at the same time.
No glyph for the dire side. Radiant have theirs, so they could take this, glyph up, and then TP down to make a defense if they're so inclined. Perhaps worth noting here as well that Fly did opt for the Vanguard first item. No Blink Dagger yet. He's pulling up that gold, getting pretty close, but you don't see this so often. Usually it's all about that Blink Rush. This does give you a little bit more of a farming edge. PPD was talking about it earlier. If you can get the Vanguard first, you can kill neutrals that much faster, and also just makes you a little more scary if you can still find that Blink at a good timing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a Blink without any durability is just asking to be Reaper Scythed. So there are pros and cons. In this case, he's focused more on neutrals. He's only got 1 kill and 1 assist, and that'll remain the case for another couple minutes. But block is really nice against Centaur because it does stop return damage. It's one of the physical things that does get blocked. In general, these auto attacks aren't really hitting that hard. Like AA hits for 70 physical damage, so...
Whoa, Lycan gets the last hit on the tower here. Nicely played with that. Mystico TP's in, but gets crit by the Wolves. Stampede used as Centaur joins the party. Whiffs the hoof stomp. Now Smash connects with an ultimate. They'll lose their Venge. The Razor's still alive to kill the OD. And TLK in the front lines doing massive damage. Reaper Scythe brings down the Razor, but it'll cost the Necro his life. He dies to the Quap around the side here.
Now just watch this Lycan push, man. This is going to be insane. TLK can creep cut past the wave. He's out for a minute, so he's joking around a little bit in all chat there. But his team can do so much work across the map here.
Absolutely. A very chaotic fight. Oops, I missed the recap, but swaying huge in favor of complexity, of course, as they shut down the OD. And this is what I was fearful of looking at that draft when I said they can just run them down. The Lycan can charge in. Once the Axe gets some momentum, he can just head to the front lines. And Not Today have no real peel. Although Centaur did miss his key hoof stomp there. So that is one thing that tips the scales a little bit. But it also shows how reliant they are on the AoE stun from Centaur, because that is their only disable that they can connect on more than one hero.
Yeah, I think that's one of two things that's really important to mention in that fight. They whiffed hoof stomp despite having a blink dagger, and then that amazing taunt coming in from TLK without a blink dagger. The hoof stomp, probably one led to the other, but even still, TLK got two really important heroes there, and was able to lock him in place for a Razor to do the damage. So they win that fight off of that taunt for the most part, and now they have the blink to back it up. They have a Necro 3 to do even more with this Lycan, and you know, Queen of Pain getting experience is great. She's up to level 11.
Yeah, definitely. We saw that last game. This is around the time when Z-Freak starts to get more aggressive and hit his stride. Yule's Scepter, same build as we saw in Game 1, and probably an Aghanim's around the corner if history proves as any kind of an indicator here.
Roche? Is this going to work? They have so little damage.
This is very ambitious. You've got a maxed out Wave of Terror, so that minus armor does help things out a little bit. Not really much synergy with OD's Orb. They'll just try to auto-attack it down, I guess.
I mean, they have unlimited Death Pulse because of the Essence Aura. That's nice. So you can just spam that Ifrit's Q to his heart's content, and it will work. It's just complexity are so Roche-minded that you figure they might have even scouted it out or looked to move on it. There's the Wolf coming in.
It's going in, but is it soon enough to react? Roche very low. They'll have to hand it over. Okay, the gamble works out for NoT Today. This was a very big risk, though. Ooh, he drops the stick. How appropriate. Drop your stick, Blaze. All right. Ifrit, he gets himself an Aegis to go with his Bloodstone. Very nice.
Yeah, very nice indeed. So this guy just spams Death Pulse. Like, he will, in any time there's a combat scenario, he can have his Death Pulse on cooldown because he has unlimited mana from the Bloodstone, the Tread swapping he's been doing, and that Essence Aura, which is just such a nice combo between the two heroes. Like, the Necrophos has absolutely no mana issues this game, even against the Necro 3. And that's a really nice thing to be able to boast. But they still need to kind of have good target priority and make sure they don't fall into a TLK trap with the really nice blink taunts.
Force Staff almost up on Smash here, looking for the recipe, so that'll give OD some much-needed mobility and start to build his int. All things considered, though, Smash not really farming that well, and this is one of the fundamental problems with OD and why he's really fallen out of the meta. Still strong as ever if you can get to that late game and get 6-slotted, but getting there is the hard part, and this meta has just been so much more aggressive with heroes like Axe, Lycan, Troll just running at you. OD doesn't get that sweet, precious me time to really get massive. So we'll see if Smash can do it. He does have the Force Staff. Looks like he had the recipe on the Courier, so that will help quite a bit. But the hammers only hurt so much at this stage of the game, Blaze.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of feel like they weathered the storm pretty well. Like, they are here 21.5 minutes, and they've got this Midas rocking on Necro for quite some time. He's building up his core, and this AA is about to get his Aghanims. He's only 700 gold off that Aghanim Scepter.
Oh, up top, TLK, great Berserker's call on 2. It's a double dunk. Lycan actually gets the second one before he can finish the dunk animation, but my oh my, Slarky and Mystico just evaporate in that top lane.
Yeah, really, really nice combo there, just jumping in. But essentially, the way I look at it is not today. They can push themselves into that late game very quickly with just a couple of key Reaper size kills. Like, you obviously, you get that extended death timer, and it means that the push is delayed that extra 30 seconds. That means if you probably get, I would say, 3 more kills with Reaper side, you're in the late game.
That's a really good point. And well, if he gets an Aghanims, those buybacks really don't matter. And with a lot of core heroes like this, Lycan getting as big as he is just takes one key ultimate, and maybe you can find a counter push. But that's where I'm a little more cynical, as I mentioned before. The pushing is very difficult for this Dire side. Looks like the Necro, though, not going for the Ags. He's got a plate mail, so probably that Shiva's Guard around the corner.
I'm not one to flame, but this Hood of Defiance pickup is really stupid from Van. Like, there is nothing that this actually, like, Scream of Pain is what you're mitigating here. Double Edge is what you're mitigating here. If he goes Pipe, I'm just, I don't know, break my keyboard.
You're right. It's literally Plasma Field, Sonic Wave, or Scream of Pain, rather. That's it. I guess you can throw Dagger in there if that matters at all. Like, you're right. This is a particularly bad Hooded Defiance game. Even the other support, Dazzle, does all physical damage. You know, if that was a Skywrath Mage or something, I could see it. But
I don't know, man. That Yule's 15 magical damage. Yule's active. Mitigated.
No, I feel you. I guess, what is the math on it? Mitigating damage on Double Edge, 30% damage mitigation? That just feels like not enough. He gets a ring. Oh my god. It could be a pipe.
That would be so. That would be literally not reading the Queen of Pain changelog. That's what you can attribute that to.
That's sort of what it feels like. A little split pushing here as up top Lycan moves into that tier 3. The tier 2 down bottom goes down. They'll finish it off. So Not Today do grab a little extra tower gold. Uh-oh, does Van walk into some danger here? Lycan, Invisibility Rune. TLK goes right in. Necrobook level 3 summoned. And well, Hood not going to save you from the slam dunks. Michael Jordan in the house.
Awkward. Anyways, I like the position from Super Stand-In 4. He is across the map here, gradually getting his gold. And he is going to be able to throw some really nice ultimates across the map, but he still needs to kind of leech this level 11 from the wave down bottom. And obviously, he's still accumulating that Blade of Alacrity.
Yep. So now we see a couple of pickups here. What's coming on the Courier? That's a BKB for TLK. Axe now with some magic immunity, and there's one just picked up on the Dire side. Who's got it? It's on that donkey. No, not yet. I thought somebody just bought one. Am I going crazy here, Blaze? Okay, just a BKB on TLK.
And Swindle.
Oh, it's Swindle. That's the other one. There it is. Knew there were 2 BKBs. They're going to find a freebie down here on the Ancient Apparition. Centaur tries to use the
trees,
ultimate,
man.
but
Stay in
enough.
the trees.
Yeah, yeah. He is pretty far forward for an Ancient Apparition off by himself there. 2 bouts of magic immunity for complexity. Now, these make a little more sense. Great items against OD. As he gets bigger and badder, you can mitigate his orb damage, which is where the bulk of his damage starts to lie. Huge against the Centaur. Amazing against the Ancient Apparition stun as well. Very key items for complexity to try and seal this one out. 13-8. They are still holding on to that golden experience lead and slightly moving up into their favor.
So, moving on forward, the next Roche would probably give them the foothold they need to really secure that high ground. The Lycan buildup is going to be the Basher into Abyssal Blade, but the one thing that's really going for the side of Not Today is this Ancient Apparition is about to hit level 11, and he does have this axe, only at the 26-minute mark. That's not too shabby.
That's really good, actually, considering he didn't go Hand of Midas either. He's 2-2-2. He might have died down in the bottom lane, but this aggressive positioning has found him a lot of farm, and hey, maybe it was all worth it here. Like you said before, Dazzle great against AA up until a point, and this is right around the point when Dazzle starts to overtake the likes of the Shadow Priest, and with that, Not Today group up, and they choose to be the aggressors around this tier 2 in the mid.
So, I mean, really good initiation potential. If the smoke catches the enemy off guard and the shapeshift, they're going to go for it.
Here we go. Yule's out onto Smash. Is he going to be the target of choice? Defensive weave flies through. The Sonic Wave does a lot of damage. OD and Necro go down first. They don't even drop their ultimates. It's a disastrous fight for Not Today. Ancient Apparition gets run down. TP's home. May go through. Mysticos won't. The Centaur, the lone survivor here. Wow. Ancient Apparition does manage to finish off the Quap. Is that Cold Feet proc or something? That's a little awkward. I guess he shattered at the end. Yeah, he got an Ice Blast off. Okay.
Yeah, he's got the big axe, so it's gonna be an elongated death for a few of these guys here, especially if they're not too tanky. Right now, the axe is Queen of Pain is building HP, but it's gonna take a while. And as I was mentioning in the draft, the Shallow Grave is essentially countered now with that pickup of the Ice Blast axe.
Yeah, but that was Not Today trying to be sneaky, and complexity were just ready for it. This war didn't scout out their smoke, did it? I'm not sure exactly where they smoked up. I don't think so, but they were just so prepared. And
yeah.
They got the jump.
When you see two people pushing your tier 2, you know that they've got backup. Like, it's not a surprise. The position is the only surprise factor, and honestly, the positioning only enables you to get your blink off on the Centaur. Like, otherwise, it's not that big of a deal for this team. Maybe a good swap out, but Venge is only 10, so that's a limiting factor.
So, riddle me this, Blaze. Centaur buys a Ring of Regen that we thought was going to be towards the full-blown pipe. He goes back and gets a Force Staff, but he doesn't use the Ring of Regen that he bought already. So now he's got a Force Staff.
Yeah, and there's the branch, man.
And an extra Ring of Regen. So I like the stop-off here. I think the Force Staff is a great addition to his kit, but seems like he does want to stay true to the course for the Pipe of Insight. And oh, Swindle, he'll be jumped on. He does BKB, stops the damage from the Centaur, and he'll be fine from that Shatter Threshold. Nice reaction time there. That's his 9-second BKB charge, but well worth it. As I'm looking at that, they find a kill up in the top lane. TLK makes it happen alongside his Wolf Brethren, and, Singleton. Wolf Brother. They get the kill on the OD. That's really what's important.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't run for that situation. Force Staff, TP, not going to save you when you get initiated on that hard, and Smash is just not having the best game. I mean, obviously, it's better off than the Ember Spear we saw in Game 1, but another initiation comes through. The Radiant Observer Vision already paying off.
Yeah, Centaur Force Staffs to the low ground. The Force Staff already paying off as well.
Good stuff. Essentially, that's if you have the Force Staff, you just get swapped out by the Venge, and the Venge sacrifices herself, but not having to do that allows you to hold your high ground even further, and we're seeing push out from it.
This guy is crazy. I'm surprised. Swindle's running because he's thinking there's no way this is solo Ancient Apparition. This is clear bait. You look at Radiant Vision.
There's got to be a Necrophos.
Yeah, he sees only one hero on the map. Necro's up top. There's still a lot of heroes missing. The Ancient Apparition, the aggression pays off there where that is a gamble. That is a complete bluff, and this go-around Swindle does not try to call it. Wow. I was thinking, are there BOTs here? Is this actually some crazy bait? But no BOTs. That was just a very brave play there from super stand-in number 4.
Here, the Swindle, but not really going to happen when he's 2 feet outside his base. But Z-Freak, on the other hand, he's playing pretty gutsy for a 4-position Queen of Pain. Like, he really wants that 16, so it's important he gets the solo experience, but one blink stomp, and you're going to have some issues.
Yeah, he also wants that Aghanim. It's only 80 gold away. It'll be a big pickup. Here's Super Stand-in number 4. This time, he's going to be all alone, caught out. He throws out an Ice Blast, but the Slam Dunk flies through, and TLK gets another one. That's an unstoppable streak now for this Axe. 7-1-7. BKB in tow. He's still at the 9-second charge. Things really shaping up for complexity here in this mid-game.
Yep, so just really good movement overall, and I think the really cool thing is this Queen of Pain can actually break down a lot of chains of initiation with the Yules. It's I mean, obviously we've seen how good Yules is in the past couple patches. A lot of Elder Titan Jakiro pickups of this item, but seeing it here, if you get jumped on by a Centaur, you can actually get the Yules off on him before he hoof stomps, and then you don't have to worry about getting that blink out. and you can obviously, we've seen, use it defensively to make sure that you are coming out the better end in most of these clashes too. But we're going to see that Roche engaged upon by the side of complexity, and it won't take about 45 seconds here. It'll be a very quick one for their side, unless they see some better targets.
Radiant have great vision here. They've got the ward on the high ground to give that insane intel around the pit. They see NoT Today coming in. They juke the Ice Blast. Now the fight breaks out on top of the pit. The Sonic Wave is a total miss, but they stampede defensively. Now they focus the Necro. Swat from the high ground. Venge lives. Or, pardon me, Necro lives, Venge dies. And that might be enough for complexity to just move right back into Roche. It will be for Swindle at least. The rest of his team trying to secure the area on top of the pit. Here we go. Centaur caught inside of the Yules. TLK has the blink. And a Shiva's guard, by the way. I don't know when he got that, but it had to be pretty recently.
Yeah, just picked it up, so.
Yeah, making space for the Roche, and down he goes. That'll be Zizzy picking up the Aegis of the Immortal. And by the way, he's also got an Abyssal Blade. Some huge items on this Radiant side.
Yeah, Shapeshift coming up soon. They probably will get aggressive then, but Van jumps the gun on it. Force staffs out. It's going to be Ifrit getting a huge Reaper right now.
Oh boy, Shiva's on Shiva's. Reaper onto the Dazzle. This Sonic Wave a little bit better than the last. And now the OD trying to back up. He's already used his ulti. His damage output a bit limited here. Zizzy actually caught inside of the Cold Feet. He's got the Aegis though, so of all the heroes to go down, it's still okay for complexity. Now what's the play when he comes back up? Van's here trying to set up the stun. He does connect on it. Zizzy still gonna go down. Looks like Cold Feet will proc again. Okay, Lycan in the grave. It's NoT Today that come out pretty big on this fight. And Centaur's even able to do it without his pipe.
It's weird. TLK actually had the gem there, and then he was playing around. He dropped his magic wand, then he dropped the gem, and just messing with his inventory, he gets swapped away from the gem, and Venge is able to grab it. So that's actually kind of unfortunate for them. They obviously got the Roche kill, and they used the Aegis for what it's worth, but they are out the gem, and that's map control for NoT Today.
Yeah, so complexity had a pretty big lead before that fight. The loss there doesn't really hurt their bottom line too much. Still a 5-figure lead on both gold and experience. But NoT Today showing that they have a sign of life. Necro back up to his 8 charges, and Centaur's actually getting the pipe delivered. I'm still in shock here. I guess it's good for pushing high ground. You put the buff on the creeps, then Quap can't clear them out, nor can the Razor. And since they don't have much magic damage, it means they've got to resort to
she can still pretty much clear them out. I mean, she just hit level 16. That's 575 pure damage that'll go to the creeps. 590 it's on the melee right now. So she'll literally have 15 HP creeps in front of her that she can't scream down. But
I mean, I am scraping the bottom of the barrel here, Blaze. I'm trying to come up with anything.
Oh, we're going to see a smoke play. I was going to talk about it a little further, but I think Dazzle's going to die.
All right, we'll see if Blaze's prediction comes true.
Or it could be something bigger. ZZY can't get Reapered here. This could be bad.
CZY, this is your time to shine. Initiated on here. There's the Reaper. He's going down, but he's still alive, or he'll be able to come back at an okay timing, sort of 80 seconds out. He has a buyback. I got so excited I tied my tongue into a knot.
Yeah, so buyback still may be forced out here, which means neither here nor there because he doesn't have an Aghanim. So that's essentially the same thing as the 30 seconds. Other than there's a minor thing where when you buy back, your second death timer is increased by a fraction of the first, but we're talking 3 or 4 seconds here. So yeah, anyways, they're just gonna go ahead and take the tier 2, and if they step a toe at the top shelf here and Lycan isn't 30 seconds or less, he's gonna buy back and they're gonna try to turn it.
Yeah, NoT Today getting a lot of momentum off this. They clear out that tier 2 tower mid. Only one outer tower remaining for complexity. Looks like Lycan will be safe with his buyback for now. Still 30 seconds on it, but NoT Today group up near the Radiant Ancients, and well, after clearing that out, may just look to pressure the tier 2 in the top lane.
Okay, so we got some time here. I want to justify this because I would never say something is stupid unless I really felt so. I just strongly against it. But here's the Pipe of Insight, and let's talk about what it actually blocks or mitigates. Double Edge does 400 damage to Centaur. Plasma Field does maximum of 370 damage. Clearing things out. The Unstable Current is his passive, which can do 130 for every single target skill activated on him. The Scream of Pain does 300. The Shadow Strike can do some damage over time. His Yules does 50, and that's it. Like, I listed all those
Battle
things
Hunger,
off,
Blaze.
Okay, Battle Hunger. Oh, and the Shiva's Guard. Wow, that's a new addition that makes it slightly more relevant. But just overall, you look at these 5 heroes, and you don't worry about their magical damage output. I'd rather see a Vladmir's or an AC. It's just you want to deal with their physical damage. Yeah, you just need to deal with their physical damage. And Vlad's would be great because they don't even have a Bassi ring right now. And AC obviously would be the luxury option.
Yeah, that's a good point. A huge amount of physical damage on complexity as well would be a good game to start working on these armor auras. I think an AC wouldn't be too bad as well for the Dire side. Checking in on Smash, the OD still not particularly farmed. Is maintaining that slot at the tail end of the pack of cores. The big outlier here for complexity, I guess, is this Queen of Pain. Their kind of signature style, but Z-Freak has found so much farm. He's technically on the 4 here, but you compare him to the Ancient Apparition, who has been farming notably well on the Dire side. Quap's still besting him and giving his team a nice little bump there. Looks like Smash will move into probably a Scythe after this Ghost Scepter. So starting to come online a bit. We're at that 36-minute mark, and around the time OD will start becoming a little more scary.
Yeah, so I actually really like the Ghost Scepter pickup from Smash earlier. I mean, obviously he still needs that Hex, but for now, getting some of that Ethereal effect makes it so, obviously with the pipe, he'll take absolutely no damage, and he just, in general, needs that survivability when he's being attacked by the Razor, the Lycan, the Wolves, the Necronomicon in particular.
Yeah, there's an Aghanims now on the Razor, so complexity, they've already got some pretty good pushing prowess, but now they get a bit more. They find the Centaur mid. He's got a... Okay. Force Staff is all he needs to stay alive. They commit a short cooldown Sonic Wave for it. No big deal there. In bottom lane, Abyssal Blade rains down from the skies. An Ancient Apparition will be punished for that aggressive position. Lycan gets a freebie there.
Another item I'll talk about real quick as an alternative to all this stuff is the Crimson Guard. Is actually really good this game. You can actually block counter helix damage. Every single one of these summoned units right clicks, even the Eye of the Storm, each tick can be blocked. So Crimson Guard is an extremely good item this game that has been not even considered.
You're right. Better than the pipe for sure. Necro, Blink Dagger, Shiva's 3,800 gold. I have to imagine an Aghanims is around the corner. It's just such a powerful tool at this stage of the game.
Definitely.
And it ups that damage threshold, so it's pretty much guaranteed that whoever you Reaper Scythe is going down for sure, and they will be stuck without buyback.
Do you, on Smash, do you go for the E-Blade just to make sure, or do you just follow through with the Hex as you probably intended?
That's a good question. I think it's still the Hex. Very valuable here, great against the Axe and other heroes that can initiate, gives you a tool to sort of counter-initiate, really good against the Queen of Pain as well. Not a hero you're really going to want to Reaper Scythe, but the Hex gives you that option to lock her down and maybe give you the damage to make that Reaper Scythe go through. Well, I guess, I don't know, you still don't really want to Scythe her. I just think the Hex gives you more utility.
Sure. No, I definitely agree with that sentiment overall, and it is going to be Aghanim soon from Ifrit. We'll see if he's willing to buy out for it. Right now he's got 1,600 gold surplus, so he can just buy one component at a time and gradually farm it up. The Midas, again, gives you lots of good reliable gold, so he probably wants to keep a decent amount of that bank. His buyback cost is almost 1,300, and he's got 2,200 reliable. So buying 2 items would be perfectly fine here, but he buys it all, and that means that he won't have buyback until he farms up a decent amount more gold.
Whoa, a lot of big items completed here. The Aghanims, like you mentioned, a full Assault Karos has popped into the inventory of the Centaur. There's your Hex on Smash, and a BKB comes out on the Lycan, about to be delivered here by this baby Roshan. Big pickup for Zizzy, and I think much needed at this stage of the game for him. I don't know, complex. Both sides are itemized pretty well here, Blaze. This next fight is going to be pretty telling. I think, as we saw in that last big exchange in the mid lane around the tier 2, going to be more about initiation, really, than anything else.
So, we've got Aghanims, Eye of the Storm, and we've got Weave. Would you just like to see a purely 5-man offensive Weave, or would you like to see a little bit of durability added to your team?
That's a good question. I think you look towards the aggressive Weave if possible. And I'm looking at it from the perspective of what are you really mitigating here? OD's big auto attack damage comes more from the pure damage than anything else. Centaur, he does mostly magical. There's just not a lot of scary physical damage that a lot of armor from a defensive Weave is going to mitigate, aside from just your regular auto attacks, which does help, but feels like they have way more physical, especially with the Razor ulti as well, now buffed up by the Ags. Just feels like the aggressive Weave is going to provide a little bit more utility.
So, we are going to be seeing the game kind of go on to the next Roche cycle. Obviously, Not Today has shown that they have a claim to stake in the pit there. They have some really good Roche fighting type spells with the Ice Blast, with the Centaur Initiation, and obviously the OD Ultimate. As far as his intelligence advantage right now, he's rocking about 145 int, and that's a significant buff up compared to a few of these heroes. The Razor I'm looking at has when he has the intros on, it's like a lot more, but with this, yeah, 85 versus 145, and 60 damage advantage. That's 10 times. So yeah, it's about 600 magical damage coming from Sandy's Eclipse.
Yeah, Lycan at a very similar threshold, about 80, 85 himself, depending on what treads he's on, and Axe in that same neighborhood, 80, 85. So the big outlier, I guess, or not outlier, that's not the right word, but the game changer, the BKBs on these cores, and that's where things get a little more difficult for the OD. The timing has to be spot on, and Smash certainly capable of finding it, but I think more important than that is staying alive until those BKBs expire. The Ghost Scepter, a great way to do that. Do they have any Diffusal Blade yet? Nope, no Purges. I wonder if they'll look for a Diffusal. I don't know if they see the Ghost Scepter as that big of a threat, or at least not yet.
Yeah, I mean, the Diffusal Blade works nicely twofold because you get to actually purge the Hex off as well. So if like your Dazzle gets hexed out and you need him for the fight, at least he casts his ulti Engrave, then you can actually use the Diffusal Blade on him and it will pull him out of that Hex, which would be really nice. But the timing of that is so difficult that it's hard to rely on that for just the active alone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Ancient Apparition scouting out the Roche bit here. He's got a couple of Vortexes down. They'll jump right into it. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they're going to lose their Centaur, it looks like. compLexity jump on him. TLK misses the dunk, actually. He uses the Stampede defensively. Quap chases him down. That'll be the end of the Centaur. Roche not falling that fast. compLexity's in the neighborhood. Do they scout this out? Buyback from the Centaur. That should make you a little suspicious. But oh no, they go for the Venge bait. They'll find a kill there, but they're going to hand over Roche. Big Bad Bird pings it out and says, no, guys, get over here, quick. But it's too late. Z-Freak now hexed up. He gets graved, though. Beautifully done. The hammers come out from OD, but a few BKBs were on. Now they turn it onto the Necro. He commits suicide. Down he goes. And where's the rest of this fight going? Looks like the Centaur will suffer a dieback now. Up on the high ground.
OD got caught on the high ground here. I'm not sure who forced him up, but that's bad.
Oh my, now the Force Staff across. Smash, does he live here? Z-Freak blinks over. Can anyone else get here? Z-Freak just trying to make what space he can. TLK comes in. There's your Battle Hunger. Wishing you had the pipe right now, don't you, Smash? TLK comes in. Now Berserker's called. The slam dunk for the kill. Will the super stand-in go down as well? Swindle certainly thinks so. He dives it. Plasma Field online. Ooh. Ice Blast may find the kill. Wow. It does. Swindle falls for it. But they get the Ancient Apparition now. A buyback from the Razor. Okay, they want to end this.
They can all in on this. They've got Lycan in the base, and they know that buyback is getting more and more useless with this Aghanim's Reaper Scythe. So he just says, I don't need this buyback. I can live without it. If I can just get to the front line. He buys the BOTs. Takes a little while, but now he's on the front line.
All right, so here we go. compLexity reclaiming this game. A lot of buybacks used on the Dire side. Ancient Apparition has used his now to get back into it. Centaur does not have one. Down for another 35. Here we go. Hex on the Necrophos. BKB's on. They go charging in. He does not have a buyback here. He gets dunked and he's dead. This could be it for Not Today. Lycan, he's still just focusing on the structures as the rest of the team zone out the heroes. Buyback now on the Necrophos. compLexity slow rolling it for now. They get the melee barracks. Pretty happy with that. They'll leave the summons to finish off the ranged barracks, and Necro can't bring him down fast enough. It is a lane of barracks claimed and a very successful set of team fights for compLexity, now way in the lead.
So we just see really good back-to-back engagements from compLexity to take the lane there, but I wouldn't say that Not Today are completely out of it. They've dealt with this Roche cycle as far as the Aegis goes by claiming it for themselves. They all get back in the fight with only the one buyback on... Okay, they did spend it on the AA too. So AA and Necrophos bought back recently. Obviously, Centaur had to buy back for that fight. If they can wait this out a few more minutes, I still believe in the power of the Necrophos. Like, he is a god of the late game. He is able to do so much with that Reaper Scythe. And obviously, we talked about the OD scaling as well as these BKBs wear down. But they're going to have to still delay it about 6 more minutes, and they're going to have to get a good blink pickoff with the Centaur.
Well, Blaze, look at this. Lincoln Sphere on old TLK. Hoping to get that Necro ult perhaps taken away by their good friend Lincoln. We'll see what he can do with this Lincoln Sphere buff. I don't know if they'll get that lucky, but does make things a little more difficult for this Necrophos.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, you can try to negate an offensive force staff, a quick Scythe of Vice. Things like that would be something that is still very important to take out. Stopping the Reapers before it comes out, you have to be very predictive. And as I think essentially you just put it on the Dazzle. The Dazzle graves anybody that's getting Reaper Scythe otherwise, so you just put it on the Dazzle and he won't be Reapered.
Dazzle also carrying the gem right now. Is that the gem that they lost and stole back? I think it is.
It's his own, yeah.
Yeah, it's his own that he bought a while ago, and it's been passed around a little bit. This gem's been all over the place. All right, not today. They're in a little bit of trouble here. Nearly 25,000 net worth and experience, the lead for complexity. Is this like Hail Mary smoke time for not today? Do you keep farming safely to try to get back into this? Now Lycan gets an assault cuirass, so their pushing power becomes that much more. What's the play for not?
They definitely need a Reaper pick, so they need the initiation. And generally speaking, if Axe is there to respond and he gets the call that he wants, then you're probably not winning that fight no matter what spells you throw at it. You'll kill a couple people, but as we saw, that doesn't stop complexity too much. So with one Rax down, you have to make the play before they reach your base, and most likely they're going to do that through Smoke of Deceit. So they don't have any in their inventory right now as far as like able to purchase them, not for 5 minutes. They also don't have any on courier on players, so it's going to be a 5-minute delayed game like I was talking about, and then you might find that pick.
Yeah, they just used their last one for that smoke rotation bottom that kind of backfired, at least didn't find them anything. They do have this nice observer ward on the high ground here. See if complexity can find vision up there, and they can take it out via their gem. This is the only ward that Not Today have down right now. But at the moment, giving them the little bit of intel they need to stay safe. They do have a tier 2 tower still standing in the bottom lane, not particularly healthy, but at least gives their bottom lane of barracks a little buffer in case complexity do go charging in. No glyph either, still down for another minute with Roche coming up around 3.5 minutes. Stampede.
They really thought they could get this pick off here, but if the sound is heard, then the retreat will will come out from complexity. So just dewarding there. I guess if they surprise them with the Stampede Blink Initiation, that's kind of the surprise of a smoke, but now cooldowns.
Whoa, what a Sonic Wave on 3. Zizzy comes charging in, goes big wolf form. Asia Moore, this one's for you. The Lycan throws down the axe, and he is doing big damage here. The big bad bird survives the Reaper's Scythe. The pipe comes out, but it makes little to no difference. It's soon to be a full 5-man wipe if they can close the gap on this OD. Razor, pretty damn speedy, will do just that. The Ghost Scepter comes out, the defensive Astral, but it will be a 5-for-0 trade whose complexity get one step closer to securing a win here in game number 2. Buyback from Smash, but I believe he's the only one that has it. Yes, sir, he is. Can he be the hero that Not Today needs? Uh-oh, hexed up. Good night, good sir. That should be game, I think. Or at least
taking it right
it.
down. Yep. The GG comes out from Smash, and a well-deserved second win for Complexity here, 2-0ing it, and moving right on up the scoreboard here early in Star Ladder North America. But yeah, I mean, this lineup was really strong, and I just don't feel like Not Today were able to work around it the way they wanted to. The OD either needed to be more active before BKBs came out, or he just needed to be a different hero selected for that matchup against the Razor, which obviously the Razor was picked late, so hard to really predict that. The other thing is the Necrophos' end kill score is 7 kills, and it's not bad, but it's not what you need when you're trying to really put everything around a free farming Necrophos. So overall, just the way they moved about the fights, like I know we picked on Centaur's items a bunch, but in the end, whether he had gone for the Crimson Guard or the pipe, we still would have seen a lot of deaths on Not Today's side, and it's complexity that pushed that advantage, that really used the damage up what they had and used it to the full effect.
Yeah, no doubt there were some issues with the draft there. We identified it pretty early on that complexity have a pretty scary face rush type lineup, a lot of physical damage, a lot of minus armor at that. And end of the day, Not Today could not find a win. So 2-2-0s for our matches today in Star Ladder Season 12 America as things continue on. I'm Zyori, and joining me remotely today was Blaze. If you enjoyed the cast, follow us both on Twitter at ZyoriTV and at BlazeCasting, both found in the title of this broadcast, and of course at Beyond the Summit as well to stay up to date with all things happening in the studio and for Star Ladder Season 12. Blaze, always a pleasure, my friend. Hope we'll get to do it again soon. I guess I'll just see you later, man.
Yes, see you later. Quick shout out to The Lion King, played well, and is also the best movie of all time. Fight me if you disagree, and I'll catch you later, guys.
All right, well played, sir. That's it for us tonight, folks. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow for more Starladder Season 12 coverage.
G2A.com, the best video game store ever! Fast as lightning, solid as a rock, cheap as duck! What's more, you can sell on it because it's also a marketplace. Remember G2A.com, the best video game store ever!